Good morning everyone. Thanks for coming along today, and thank you for the kind words of introduction. So my name is Bevan Gibson. I'm the Technology Launch Director for Sky News Arabia, based down in Abu Dhabi. I work for BSkyB. I've been based here in the UAE for about the last sort of 15-16 months, and I'm responsible for all the technology behind Sky News Arabia and the decisions that we're making there. Sky News Arabia, for those who don't know, is an Arabic language version of Sky News, launched early 2012. So I've got a couple of things to talk about today. First being digital news gathering. It's a topic that I've been heavily involved with over the last sort of recent years, both here in the UAE and in the UK, working for BSkyB. Modernising contribution techniques. Obviously, an operation like Sky News, it's key for us to stay ahead of the game and make sure everything that we do is effective. We're getting the most bang for our buck when we're deploying news gathering teams around the world, and our production values are the highest they can possibly be. And finally, I'm going to have a little bit of a chat about multi-platform delivery. And said in the opening speech, how social networks are having a massive impact on the delivery of content across a variety of platforms in our industry. So firstly, digital news gathering. I'm sure most of you know the industry is undergoing a massive change at the moment. I'm sure everyone here today has a camera on their mobile phone, and there's numerous methods available so that they can potentially let everyone in their social network know what's going on. This is a killer for traditional news organisations, and they need to adapt quickly to make sure that they're not left behind in this sort of market. So speed of getting content to market from more traditional players such as ourselves across multi-platforms is absolutely key. So flexibility. So the resources that we have in place across all of our news gathering operations worldwide need to be as flexible as possible. We need to be able to stream video not only to TV audiences, but to audiences with mobile devices, to online audiences both in the region and across the world. And we need to do that in the best possible quality, or we need to shift content around, move files around in a very, very effective way, and across to any of the devices that we support. It's a multi-platform world. Breaking news on TV is no longer enough. Our aim is to be first with rich content across all of the platforms we support, and to be able to respond to any challenges in the marketplace. As an example, we have VJs for Sky News UK based all around the world. These are single operator users who are based in locations, and one example was the moving on of the Wall Street processors in New York last week. So we had a VJ I should say, with a small P2 camera delivering content, quality content live using a backpack with multiple mobile SIM cards in it. And that's how we can be agile, we can be different. We can offer the viewers a choice, something better than what Twitter users or other social media networks can do. So key technologies. Something that we've invested in very heavily at Sky News is an MPLS network. It's a very, very high bandwidth network across all of our worldwide bureaus and in key locations in all cities that we gather news. So we've got MPLS connectivity everywhere from Beijing to New York, and then all across London, and we will have across the Middle East and North Africa when Sky News Arabia launches next year. We need to know where to put this connectivity. Obviously it has a lead time, but it allows us tremendous flexibility in what we're trying to do as a news gathering operation. So we can flex our network and news gathering ability as the news agenda dictates. So as an example of this, in London we've got plug points all around London. And for major events like the Royal Wedding earlier this year, and previously the inauguration of Obama in early 2009, specific MPLS drops we had, we burst the capacity at the time we needed to have more paths coming out of each location, the ability to have bi-directional content, and to allow file transfers and access to our server system and networks from wherever our teams are deployed. Access to our archive content, and we're now playing with effective file acceleration infrastructure, which makes this so much more effective. Secondly, when you're using an IP network, the choice of codecs is key. You've got sometimes in some locations you've got masses of bandwidth to play with, and this gives you the ability to pick the best codec for the job. So, for example, in the royal wedding, it's a news event. There's two ways. There's people Q&Aing, and low latency is the key. So we've got lots of bandwidth available in a big metropolitan location. So we use JPEG 2000 codecs, very, very low latency, and made our presentation on air look fantastic. No delay between questions and answers. But in other locations, bandwidth is a premium. Obviously, in the Middle East, infrastructure is still developing and bandwidth is still a lot more expensive than what it is in Europe, but that is changing. And as I mentioned earlier, workflow management and effective acceleration of files over high latency networks. We're very keen to connect up all of our bureaus around the world, ensure that file transfers between those locations are making the most effective use of the bandwidth that we have available. Things like Aspera, Signiant, those sort of products are going to be key in the future as we move forward. Other things we're looking at, key technologies, are IP-based flyaway systems. There's lots of stuff coming onto the market now. Traditionally, it's been the BGANs and the Thrives for news gathering, but in the future, we're coming up with things like little baby KA antennas, which allow very, very cost-effective news gathering from the most remote parts of the world possible, and something we've done in Libya and across North Africa over the past 12 months. So modernising contribution techniques. Why bother? So we're trying to ensure that the resources we put into any new facility are very, very effectively utilised. It's expensive. We've got to justify to our finance people why we're trying to install equipment. Why do we need 27 frame rate converters? Why do we need hundreds of DAs? Putting in a system that can manage all these resources effectively is just key. So scheduling systems, the ability to allocate staff effectively, other technical resources, network resources, so bandwidth on network, bandwidth on IP networks, satellite bandwidth, and to set up and allow presets for sort of processing and that sort of infrastructure to be done at the flick of a switch before we move it into our TV production system. Who benefits from this? So it allows our guys to have a global view of what's coming in at any one time. We can track a story, we can add metadata, and that's my next point, add metadata at the point of content creation. So at the time a booking is made, metadata goes in that kicks off a recording in the server system that takes it right through to the point at which it's on air. If you get that metadata right from the outset, it's a far more effective resource than if it's added somewhere down the middle of the chain by someone who's far too busy on Facebook or Hotmail or whatever. And obviously there's commercial considerations with contribution techniques. Headcount can be reduced, and that's something that obviously keeps all our finance people very happy. And automation and the modernisation of workflows is key to making our industry move forward. Finally, I want to have a bit of a talk about multi-platform delivery. So your server environment, especially in a news gathering organisation, needs to be flexible. You need to be able to get into it and change it and adapt it as you're moving forward. So I know it's Sky News in the UK over the last 10 years, we've had various server technologies, and the key to this sort of thing working well is flexibility and being able to adapt as new distribution methods come on and we need to serve other platforms. Search. An issue we have an issue in the UK at the moment, making effective searches on our material. We've got a lot of material, it's all stored in HD, it's all wonderful, but our guys are expecting a search the quality of Google to find any of this content on their system. Where we've got a massive issue, and I think the industry has an issue of making search as effective across media content and media production systems as it is for someone sitting at home using Google or Bing. Newsroom control systems. This is an issue. Very stable technology. Obviously, iNews and ENPS are sort of leaders in this space. But what we think is we need to find a system that allows you to create content once and publish out to many platforms seamlessly, instead of having someone writing some content in the newsroom system that populates the auto queue, that drives an editor creating some stuff, and then someone else going and working in a CMS system for the website. The key is to doing it once, doing it with the right system. And the simultaneous delivery of quality content. So no longer is it just acceptable to publish a a story in a file-based workflow to your playout system, you've got to also publish it online. You've got to publish it to mobile devices, and getting it out effectively, getting breaking news out as quick as it happens to multiple platforms is absolutely key to the success of more traditional news organisations. And second screen, something that across the industry and especially in Europe people are toying with at the moment is second screen. So you've got an iPad, you've got a tablet device, you've got a laptop sitting on your lap whilst you're watching television, allowing you to access additional content, allowing you to look at that replay of a sporting event that the broadcaster didn't show you. This sort of stuff is multiple platform delivery. It's what our industry needs to look at, especially in news, to give the viewers what they want. Finally, a quick look at what it is we're doing down in Abu Dhabi. So Sky News Arabia, as I mentioned, is launching early next year. We're building a big newsroom, 24/7 newsroom, multimedia facility at the 2454 site down in Abu Dhabi. And here's a quick look at what it is we're doing with our set. So that's it, everyone. Thank you very much for your time.